passengers took to social media by Wednesday to tell stories of everybody getting sick and not being permitted to leave the ship for shore excursions. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
One of the top-selling recording artists of all time, R. Kelly, has been dogged for years by allegations of sexual misconduct, and he and his attorneys have long denied them. But an Illinois prosecutor's plea for potential victims and witnesses to come forward and new protests are sparking hope among some advocates the R&B star might ultimately face criminal charges. For now, prosecutors continue to review the allegations. I'm Lisa Brady, and this is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon, I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. One is dead after a crash on Highway 169 near the Fort Dodge Country Club that began with a pursuit early this morning. The crash occurred between 2nd Avenue South and Highway 7. This all started at 3:30 a.m. when a victim reported that he was robbed at gunpoint by a male in the 1600 block of East University in Des Moines, and the suspect stole the vehicle. The vehicle was located by Story County Police at 4:30 a.m. and a high-speed pursuit began that made its way through Story, Hamilton, and Webster counties. The vehicle crashed when it went into a median and the driver was ejected and killed. The identity of the man has not been released. An investigation is underway into what's being called a suspicious death in northern Iowa. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
Authorities were called to the home in Rockwell just after 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, where a deceased male was found on arrival. Authorities say the death was not caused by blunt force trauma or foul play, but is being considered suspicious. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation has been called in to assist in the investigation, and an autopsy is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Rockwell.
2 Webster City men are in custody after being accused of burglarizing a home in Auburn, Iowa in December. 28-year-old Brett C. Nessa and 25-year-old Eric G. Dunn are charged with ongoing criminal conduct, a Class B felony, and 2 counts of third-degree burglary, a Class D felony. The burglary incident allegedly occurred on December 10th when the 2 men allegedly broke into the home and stole a plethora of items, including jewelry. Nessa was arrested on December 22nd and is being held on a $50,000 cash bond in the Sac City Jail, and Dunn is being held at the Wright County Jail. A fire occurred late last night at the Josephson Manufacturing Company at 216 Central Avenue in Fort Dodge. The incident happened at around 11 p.m. when a fire started inside a paint booth in the building. No one was injured in the fire, and the incident is under further investigation. A Western Iowa woman was sentenced to 2 years in prison for sexually abusing a ward of the state. Radio Iowa's Ryan Matheny reports.
According to court records, 24-year-old Hannah Dickerson of Neola pleaded guilty to attempted sexual abuse of a protected person and was sentenced Tuesday. Last January, Dickerson was arrested for first-degree sexual assault after a 17-year-old male alleged he and Dickerson had sex multiple times. The male was living at Child Saving Institute in Omaha, where Dickerson was employed. Dickerson's job at the institute was to supervise minors who were wards of the state, sometimes overnight. I'm Ryan Matheny reporting.
The Iowa Appeals Court has overturned the second murder conviction of a man who spent more than 10 years in prison. Juries have twice found Kenneth Hurd guilty of murder for fatally shooting 26-year-old Joshua Hutchinson in December 2007. The Des Moines Register reports that the court ruled Wednesday that Hurd's constitutional right to compel witnesses to testify was violated. The appellate court says the trial court failed to determine the extent and validity of one witness's assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege against incriminating himself. The witness testified for the prosecution at Hurd's first trial, but asserted his Fifth Amendment right at the time of his deposition before the second trial. Hurd has accused that witness of fatally shooting Hutchinson. Hurd's first-degree murder conviction in the case was overturned after he claimed his lawyers were ineffective. It's unclear whether prosecutors will seek a third trial. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Lots of sunshine this afternoon with the daytime highs approaching 31. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. 21 tonight, partly cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow, 36. Chance for snow Saturday with highs in the low 30s. Cloudy Sunday. A dusting of snow tomorrow night. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 29.
Mom, Dad, I'm getting married. That's wonderful, dear.
Congratulations. So have you decided on a date?
Yes, this Saturday. What? Are you serious? We need to plan. There's so much to do.
What about the church? The flowers, music, food, inviting everyone?
You would not want to be faced with those hurried decisions then. Why do that to your family with your own final arrangements? I invite you to sit down with us at Gunderson's to pre-plan your funeral. Pre-planning allows you to make thoughtful decisions with a clear mind. Give us a call at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services, Fort Dodge.
We're live on the red carpet, waiting for the next generation Credenz soybean. There he is.
Oh, Ed, look, it's Credenz Liberty Link GT27.
I know, Edna. He's got elite genetics.
You gotta love his 4 bushel per acre yield advantage.
And he's both Liberty and glyphosate herbicide tolerant.
Definitely the year's hottest performer. Ask your Credenz retailer about the new Credenz Liberty Link GT27 soybeans.
Grow smart with BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes, warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank, where you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. And you'll always find people ready to help you, not sell you. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only, offered by Capital One and a member FDIC. Cafes available in select locations. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
Can I ask you something, but without you taking it the wrong way?
Sure.
Are you stupid?
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, don't take that personally, but are you stupid? AM 1400 KVFD. The voice of Fort Dodge, I'm Michael Devine. If you'd like to join the program, it's 515-955-1400. 515-955-1400. We're also on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in 1400 KVFD, and there I am with Lydia Schur from Now the Growth Alliance. Hi, Lydia.
How are you?
So no talking about city council?
Not at this moment.
Okay,
no.
Lydia is also a city council person. She's one of the council at large, but we won't be talking city council stuff. As she just mentioned, not during Growth Alliance time. So let's talk Growth Alliance. So what's going on with the Growth Alliance? By the way, Lydia is the communications director over at the Growth Alliance.
Yes, thank you.
Outstanding.
Yeah, thank you. We have our annual dinner coming up next month on the 28th at Best Western.
Absolutely.
That's always a nice time. The social hour starts at 5, dinner served at 6. We'll have our speaker this year is Nick Tassler. He's an internationally acclaimed thought leader, organizational psychologist, and he's a #1 best-selling author. And he talks about the art and science of leading change. And I mean, people don't always like change, so he likes to talk about.
People never like change.
I know. I'm trying to be positive,
including me.
Right.
It's just instinctual. People hear change or we're going to change something, and they just tense up.
Absolutely.
Time and time again.
Yeah, it's hard. It is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So he's going to teach us how to get around that, huh?
Yes. Yeah, I've watched a couple of his videos on YouTube, and he's a really good speaker. I think he'll be great.
Mark Tesler?
Nick Tesler.
Nick Tesler. I beg your pardon.
He's great. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He has a really good presence and keeps you interested, and he's great. I like him a lot.
And does he have any published works out, did you say?
Yeah, he has 4 #1 books, and he's written for publications like Harvard Business Review, New York Times, Bloomberg Business, Financial Times, Fox Business, and Huffington Post. Yeah, he's been published quite a bit.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look him up while we're talking here.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of the Growth Alliance dinner? Why do we have the Growth Alliance dinner?
We recognize the people in the community that are involved in the Growth Alliance. We recognize the contribution of our outgoing officers. We talk about the previous year and the progress that has been made. Mm-hmm. And then we also give out the Volunteer of the Year Award, the photo contest winner, and then we also have the Catalyst Award, which is the the pinnacle award given out at the dinner. Mm-hmm. And the Catalyst Awards celebrates the inspiration, charity, wisdom, unifier, and breath of life of the professional in our community. So it's a person that really does their part to improve Fort Dodge.
Okay, well that's how many years have we been doing this now?
Oh, I knew you'd ask me a question that I didn't have an answer to, Mike. I thought I covered all my bases.
No. That's okay. I was just curious.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I don't know.
No, that's not that important either. We're doing it this year.
Yes.
So if someone wanted to go, what do they need to do?
So they can contact Kate at the office. Tickets are $35 a piece. You can get a table that seats 8 for $3.50. And with that, you get a complimentary bottle of wine from Soldier Creek Winery, which is awesome wine.
Mm-hmm.
Always a plus. RSVP is required by February 22nd. And then your RSVP will help determine where you are in the room as well.
Your RSVP will
help determine where your table is located. So the earlier you RSVP, the closer you'll be towards the front.
I was going to say the Casey Johnson crew out of Fort Dodge Ford must get there pretty early. All the
They
time
must then, yeah.
because they always have one of the tables up front.
Yeah, we already have
center.
18 tables sold.
Do you really?
Yeah, and we haven't even saved the dates. Just went out yesterday, I believe, or people probably were getting them as of yesterday. So
really,
yeah, it's pretty great so far already.
Okay. By the way, some of the books written by Nick Tasler are Domino, Why Quitters Win, Ricochet, and The Impulse Factor. Those are interesting titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a rather big presence here on YouTube. I'm checking him out on Wikipedia here. Yeah, he's available through the Speakers Bureau, of course, where the talent like him comes from a lot of times. Tasler's on Twitter. He's apparently well known in this particular field.
Yeah, we're lucky to have him coming to speak to us.
Okay, yeah, he's the CEO of Decision Pulse, another interesting name, a global management consulting firm and think tank devoted to helping everyone from the shop floor to the C-suites think more strategically and act more decisively. I'm kind of interested to hear this guy now.
Good, so you'll be there.
Well, I haven't missed one for the last few years.
Good deal.
I have no. I certainly plan to be there this year. What date is it again?
It is February 28th.
February 28th.
Yep.
What?
Social hours starts at 5. Dinner is served at 6.
Okay. The Starlight usually does a pretty good job out there, feeding
yeah.
that many people. I think there were close to 400 people last year.
Yes. Yeah. And JP was telling us we can get up to 500 in that room.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was pretty full last year, and I don't remember the speaker now. It was a female, but I don't remember. Oh, well. February 28th, what day of the week
that
is
is
that?
a Thursday.
Thursday,
I do believe.
Okay. Oh, you know what else? You know what's going on tonight is the out at Iowa Central is Mayor Bemrick and Matt Johnson on that
the
Fireball Run.
Yeah, that is true. I think that would be pretty cool.
I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I was looking through the album that was posted, and Matt were in quite a few of the pictures too, which is really neat.
There was an album posted?
Yeah, CVB, I believe, shared it, and then the Growth Alliance page did as well. And just
Facebook page or website?
Yeah. Facebook page.
Facebook page.
Yeah, and various images from the series, and Matt were in a lot of pictures. It was really cool.
Really?
Yeah, and really good pictures too.
Well, all right. Yeah, Mayor Matt Bemrick, by the way, will be in later on today, and we'll be talking with him. We get to talk about council meetings with him. We can't do that with Lydia here.
Not at this moment.
Okay. So, Dennis Plautz is, I don't know if you've noticed this about him yet, but he's a tease. He's a major tease.
Is he?
Oh, he is. He's always going to tell me, well, there could be an announcement, maybe, kind of, should be. But I really haven't heard one yet. Is there any? And can you tell us what's going on over the Growth Alliance? And I understand this is something that we want to talk about, the Growth Alliance dinner. We certainly want to talk about it. But
yeah,
is there anything else going on?
I might have to follow in Dennis's footsteps.
You're going to be
that.
A tease now.
Yeah, but really, we're looking at what last year was like, what the progress was, and looking ahead to 2019, and the continued progress in Fort Dodge in the area, and growth. So I can't give you a whole lot there, Mike.
That's
today.
okay. That's all right.
Yeah, you can't outdo Plums when it comes to being a tease because he's been doing it for a long, long time.
Yeah, I have to learn.
And these are some pretty impressive fireball run pictures.
Yeah,
on the
they're
Growth
really
Alliance
great.
Facebook page. I mean, I know some of the towns like Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Here, that's a pretty little town up in Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
and they really had some towns in their run that were older, very scenic towns in the Midwest. And yeah, there's Bemrick in what? Oh, this is in Fort Dodge.
Yeah, I believe one of them was, but even other ones, they aren't here, but it's pictures of the truck that they were driving and stuff. Yeah,
I know they were in Dubuque, and I'm pretty familiar with Dubuque, and it's a great old town.
Yeah,
it's a great old town. Now here's Bemrick and Matt Johnson with some guy who looks like he plays baseball for South Dakota, but I don't know. But yeah, I kind of when they came here to Fort Dodge, I along with Scary Sherry there or whatever her name was. We welcomed them and talked with them on the radio and talked with them down by the courthouse.
Yeah,
that was a massive pickup truck that Matt Johnson and Matt Bemrick drove for this whole thing.
Oh yeah, it was huge.
It was huge. I can't. And that must have been. I'll talk with Bemrick about it when he gets here.
Yeah, I love his story of he didn't realize his seat. Like he was bouncing along the majority of the time. He didn't realize he had to push a button.
Seat.
Yeah,
he had an air seat.
I love that story.
Would have made it a lot easier. Believe me, as an old truck driver, I appreciated air seats. Well, Johnson should have told him, or maybe he did. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
Anyway, this is the Growth Alliance time, and our guest is Lydia Schur, and she is the communications director over at the Growth Alliance. And again, it's going to be February the 28th. I got to put this on my phone so I don't forget it. Thursday the 28th, and
opens at 5 for social hour.
5 at social hour. Yep. If it's not in my phone, it doesn't exist.
I understand. I need a regular planner and my calendar in my phone.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and then I don't forget most things.
You have a regular...
Yeah, like a paper planner. And then,
really?
Yeah, I have both.
Wow.
I'm a pen and paper person.
Well, I'll try to see if I can peel some or pry a little money loose from the radio station here to get a table. It's probably not going to happen, but I'll definitely take a shot at it because I think I was the only one from the radio station there last night. So, okay, it's 5:00.
Yes.
We start. Well, that's a social hour.
Yep.
And do you know what we're serving for dinner?
Not confirmed yet. We have talked about a few items.
Okay. Well, again, the Starlight usually does a pretty good job.
Oh yeah, I know we're doing. I believe Hasselback potatoes. I can remember that.
What kind?
They're potatoes that they're like sliced but not all the way through, and there's cheese in them, and they're really yummy. They're just cooked with the cheese, but I can't remember.
Hasselback.
Yes, and possibly chicken cordon bleu. Don't quote me for sure on that.
I like that. I even like the way the Starlight does that. As a matter of fact, they do it again with their serving 350, 400 people. They do a heck of a job.
They really do. Yeah.
There's some places that do that, but they don't do it very well. But the food is usually warm. Is usually pretty hot, and it's excellent. It's well worth. It's a great evening for $35.
Absolutely.
It's a great evening for $35.
Yeah.
And we need to talk just a little bit about the Catalyst Award and what a person needs to do if they want to nominate to be someone as the winner of the Catalyst Award.
Yes.
First of all, the winner of the Catalyst Award, what sort of person should they be? What should they have done?
So it's the nominee must be either a member of the Growth Alliance or employed by a member of the Growth Alliance and have shown active involvement in Growth Alliance sponsored committees or activities. The nominee must be an active, visible leader who is a catalyst for implementing actions that enhance the economic and civic environment of the community. And they also must consistently demonstrate excellence in their business and in community service. And lastly, they must have contributed exemplary
There you go.
time and effort to promote community spirit and civic pride. The nominations are due by noon on February 22nd to Jill Nelson. And she is, her email is jill@greaterfortdodge.com. There's a nomination. There's some nomination paperwork to fill out as well that you can stop by the Growth Lines pick up. You can print it off of the website.
We can print it up.
Yeah.
I have someone I want to nominate. I'm going to nominate
I can leave
somebody.
this for you if
Would
you'd
you
like
mind?
it. No, yeah,
All right.
totally. You can have it.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right. So the 28th is what we're talking about, the Growth Alliance dinner. It's open to the public, of course.
Yes, anybody. Growth
Anybody can
Alliance
go.
members or not.
If they let me in, they'll let anybody in. And they've been letting me in for a while now, so we're all good. Are you going to be there, Lydia?
I will be there.
I bet you will.
I will be there.
Anything else we need to know, Lydia?
I don't think so.
All right. Lydia sure has been our guest from the Fort Dodge Growth Alliance. Always good to see you, Lydia.
Thanks, Mike. You too. Thank you.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Seed selection under the microscope. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. Low commodity prices continue to squeeze the bottom line of many corn and soybean farmers. With the 2019 growing season just months away, an extension crop specialist is recommending scrutinizing every cost associated with producing a crop. Liz Stahl with the University of Minnesota says one of the biggies is the cost of seed. More after this.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
University of Minnesota Extension crop specialist Liz Stahl says the combination of low crop prices and disappointing yields has many farmers dissecting every aspect of the operation.
So it's really making people really sharpen that pencil to see, justifying each different expense. Where do we get the most payoff from different decisions? So again, it just really makes it even more important to just evaluate all those different inputs that we're doing, management strategies. Where do we get the biggest bang for our buck? Again, just trying to help that bottom line as much as possible.
She tells Brownfield one of the first areas to look at is seed.
People have been buying a lot of times complete packages with the BT traits, for corn rootworm and of course corn borer, and then the different herbicides and so forth too. And again, I just think it's good to step back and take a look. It's like, okay, do I need the this newest thing here, or what should I really, how do I need to prioritize my decision making? Of course, yield potential, that's the number one thing. That's the genetic base, regardless of what traits are in there. That needs to be the number one priority when we look at our hybrid and variety decisions. How many different sites should we be looking at too of data? Is it good just to look at what we did in our backyard, or for example? But those are just some of the things to be looking at too. And if we do look at, say, for example, reducing investment into some of these different traits, well, what are the trade-offs for doing that? Do we need to do more scouting, pay more attention to different things? Where is there more risk if we do make some of those trade-offs? So again, just looking at that whole management scheme, you don't want to just change one thing and not worry about anything else, because usually it does impact something else too. There's trade-offs. So that's something that we really want to highlight.
Stahl says recent results can be helpful.
Whenever you can get multiple years of performance on a hybrid or a variety, that just increases the odds again that if it does well under a different range of environments, hopefully that's going to perform well for us in the future too. So that's the thing, just having that variety tested or that hybrid tested in a number of different environments. If it does well over a wide range, odds are that's going to perform well for us in the future.
That's University of Minnesota Extension crops educator Liz Stahl. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. One is dead after a crash on Highway 169 near the Fort Dodge Country Club that began with a pursuit early this morning. The crash occurred between 2nd Avenue South and Highway 7. This all started at 3:30 a.m. when a victim reported that he was robbed at gunpoint by a male in the 1600 block of East University in Des Moines, and the suspect stole the vehicle. The vehicle was located by Story County Police at 4:30 a.m. and a high-speed pursuit began that made its way through Story, Hamilton, and Webster counties. The vehicle crashed when it went into a median and the driver was ejected and killed. The identity of the man has not been released. An investigation is underway into what's being called a suspicious death in northern Iowa. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
Authorities were called to the home in Rockwell just after 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, where a deceased male was found on arrival. Authorities say the death was not caused by blunt force trauma or foul play, but is being considered suspicious. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation has been called in to assist in the investigation, and an autopsy is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Rockwell.
2 Webster City men are in custody after being accused of burglarizing a home in Auburn, Iowa in December. 28-year-old Brett C. Nessa and 25-year-old Eric G. Dunn are charged with ongoing criminal conduct, a Class B felony, and 2 counts of third-degree burglary, a Class D felony. The burglary incident allegedly occurred on December 10th when the 2 men allegedly broke into the home and stole a plethora of items, including jewelry. Nessa was arrested on December 22nd and is being held on a $50,000 cash bond in the Sac City Jail, and Dunn is being held at the Wright County Jail. A fire occurred late last night at the Josephson Manufacturing Company at 216 Central Avenue in Fort Dodge. The incident happened at around 11 p.m. when a fire started inside a paint booth in the building. No one was injured in the fire, and the incident is under further investigation. A Western Iowa woman was sentenced to 2 years in prison for sexually abusing a ward of the state. Radio Iowa's Ryan Matheny reports.
According to court records, 24-year-old Hannah Dickerson of Neola pleaded guilty to attempted sexual abuse of a protected person and was sentenced Tuesday. Last January, Dickerson was arrested for first-degree sexual assault after a 17-year-old male alleged he and Dickerson had sex multiple times. The male was living at Child Saving Institute in Omaha, where Dickerson was employed. Dickerson's job at the institute was to supervise minors who were wards of the state, sometimes overnight. I'm Ryan Matheny reporting.
The Iowa Appeals Court has overturned the second murder conviction of a man who spent more than 10 years in prison. Juries have twice found Kenneth Hurd guilty of murder for fatally shooting 26-year-old Joshua Hutchinson in December 2007. The Des Moines Register reports that the court ruled Wednesday that Hurd's constitutional right to compel witnesses to testify was violated. The appellate court says the trial court failed to determine the extent and validity of one witness's assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege against incriminating himself. The witness testified for the prosecution at Hurd's first trial, but asserted his Fifth Amendment right at the time of his deposition before the second trial. Hurd has accused that witness of fatally shooting Hutchinson. Hurd's first-degree murder conviction in the case was overturned after he claimed his lawyers were ineffective. It's unclear whether prosecutors will seek a third trial. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's 2:32, 28 minutes before 3 o'clock. It's 32 degrees. It doesn't seem that warm, actually. Sunny today with a high of 32. Overnight, partly cloudy with a low of 21. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a high of 36. Saturday, some snow, freezing drizzle before noon. Otherwise, cloudy with a high of 31. On Sunday, it'll be sunny with a high of 34. Monday, mostly sunny with a high of 37. Tuesday, sunny with a high of 38. And Wednesday, it'll be sunny with a high of 32. Again, right now, 32 degrees under a mostly fair sky at AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Joy Rasmussen has died. Joy Rasmussen has passed away at the age of 60. There will be a funeral service for Joy Rasmussen Saturday, January the 12th at Grace Lutheran Church with Gunderson Funeral Home serving the family. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. It's 32 degrees at 2:35 AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. With a look at the closing market report, here's Dwayne Murley.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. March corn down 5 3/4 at 376 1/4. May down 5 1/2 at 384 1/2. July down 5 1/4 at 392 1/4. September down a nickel at 395. January soybeans down 16 cents at 895 1/2. March down 17 1/4 at 906 3/4. May down 17 cents at 920 1/4. July beans down 16 3/4 at 932 1/4. March wheat closed down 6 1/4 at 513 3/4. Soybean meal down 6.40 a ton at 312.60. February live cattle up 7 cents at 124.87. April up 12 at 125.92. January feeder cattle down 7 cents at 146.75. March up 17 at 145.07. February lean hogs up 30 cents at 64.07. April up 30 at 67.85. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Out here, great yield starts with great weed control. That's why I put the Roundup Ready Extend crop system to work, so I can get the yield I need. This is my field.
The Roundup Ready Extend crop system offers the unique combination of XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology and Roundup Ready 2 Extend soybeans, featuring tolerance to both dicamba and glyphosate for control of more weeds than any other soybean system, and a 5.7 bushel per acre advantage compared to Liberty Link soybeans in herbicide system trials. Now you have the system that puts control back in your hands. You have the system to extend your weed control and extend your yield. Learn how you can put the system to work in your field when you visit RoundupReadyExtend.com. XtendiMax is a restricted use pesticide. Performance may vary. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions. Check local regulations for specific requirements in your state.
When one door closes, another door opens. I said, another door opens. Another door opens.
Door issues? P&R Entry Doors will come to your business and replace your hollow metal entry door fast. And if your garage door is giving you fits, P&R Entry Doors will handle that too. Family owned and operated for 30 years. For a free estimate, call 573-8883. Online at PREntryDoors.com.
Take the worry out of winter with a winter weather advisor on KVFD, brought to you by Community Health Center Fort Dodge, offering dental, behavioral health, and general medical assistance for men, women, and children. They're committed to your well-being. Community Health Center. Get to know them. And Creative Cakes, making life sweet with espresso, lunch, gourmet cupcakes, and other sweet treats. Creative Cakes in the Crossroads Mall, Fort Dodge. They make life sweet. Listen for the winter weather advisor on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
Are you more than $10,000 in debt? Feel like you're on a never-ending treadmill, staying in one place and never getting ahead with those minimum payments? You feel like there is no way out? Don't let the credit card companies bully you anymore. There are programs in place to help you get free of your debt, and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. The program at Total Financial Freedom can help you get debt-free in months instead of decades. Get off the debt treadmill and stop the harassment. Get free of credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and medical bills. Call now at 866-844-7344 for free information. For about 10 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands. They're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, too. Get off the endless cycle without having to declare bankruptcy. You'll have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Call Total Financial now at 866-844-7344. That's 866-844-7344.
We're live on the red carpet, waiting for the next generation Credenz soybean. There he is.
Oh, Ed, look, it's Credenz Liberty Link GT27.
I know, Edna. He's got elite genetics.
You gotta love his 4 bushel per acre yield advantage.
And he's both Liberty and glyphosate herbicide tolerant.
Definitely the year's hottest performer. Ask your Credenz retailer about the new Credenz Liberty Link GT27 soybeans.
Grow smart with BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like by a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 1616 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 1616. Enjoy.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Can I ask you something, but without you taking it the wrong way?
Sure.
Are you stupid?
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. We're going to do it now. I just want to put out the word. We have millions of chickens to the northeast of us. We have all kinds of chicken barns to the northeast of us, right around Eagle Grove, Clarion, Vincent, all kinds of chicken barns. And, of course, Prestige Farms is coming here to our area. It's pretty much here already. It's going to open soon. So I just want to put out a message to these folks with all the chicken barns, the DeCoster people and Prestige Farms. If a man in his mid-70s applies for a job, don't hire him. It's Osterberg. Okay, it's David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project, and he's coming to take pictures of your employees abusing chickens or some doggone thing. You probably have heard by now, and let me welcome David Osterberg to the program. How are you, David?
I feel welcomed.
Okay, I always look forward to having you on the air. David Osterberg is the co-founder of the Iowa Policy Project. And it is a group in Iowa City that is dedicated to research and fact-based information they hope will affect public policy. And it's been depressingly evident over a number of years when I talk with David or Peter Fisher or Colin Gordon or certainly Mike Owens that all of this fact-based information and all of my efforts have come to naught. So, okay, I'm going to take a handful of sleeping pills now. Thank you.
One thing, Mike. So all of a sudden realize we do now have more facts because you can't cover them up.
Cover them up. Now, of course, if you want to refer to my thinking as twisted, I'm fine with that. But I will play devil's advocate with you. What David Osterberger and I are about to talk about, the ag-gag rule. It was passed a few years ago, and a judge, of course, overruling the will of the people, once again tells us that the ag-gag rule, and what the ag-gag rule means is that you cannot seek employment in a packing plant operation or an animal confinement operation and then take videos and release them to the public. That's essential. That's the biggest thing as far as the ag-gag rule is concerned. And there has been a lot of it. And when I say I'm going to take or play devil's advocate with David Osterberg, this is what I'm going to tell you. That we're used to slaughtering animals in this part of the country, and if you put a video of that in Iowa CCI's hands or some of the animal rights groups, and they show it in San Francisco, those people don't understand and they go crazy, and then they go out and have a pork chop, or they go out and have chicken. They do. I just think that's terrible. I'm going to give my money to this animal rights group, and then I'm going to go have a big old Kentucky Fried Chicken. You know what I'm talking about, David?
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. And that's not what's going on with the ag-gag law.
All right.
It was documenting abuse, not raising animals, not trying to get good production out of them, but doing things you shouldn't be able to do at all. And that was what was being shown. It isn't that somehow we have rules and people in San Francisco don't like those rules. It is you're abusing animals, you're doing things that shouldn't be done, and then when you're exposed, it actually is a violation and you do suffer some consequences. It is an anti-whistleblower law is what these ag-gag was. And when you said the will of the people, come on, Mike, it was the will of the Iowa legislature. That's what the will was, not if they went out and did a survey to find out whether people thought it was a good idea or not. I don't know what it would come out, but And maybe neither of us know what would come out. But it was the legislature, not the people, who did that law.
Well, we have no other way for the people to express themselves. Certainly the courts aren't necessarily in service to the people. Most judicial people will say they're in service to the Constitution or to the rule of law. They are not. Right. They are not subject, and I think they should be. They are not subject to popular will. And
well, depending where they are, and in West Virginia and in Wisconsin, they are, and you will get a judge is elected, and then big businesses go out and elect their judges.
Well,
so what also happens, Mike? We talked about big money before in politics. I would sure like to keep the judicial branch out of that kind of influence.
No, well, it's not a good choice for me. It really isn't. We do have a judicial branch that acts as a social driver, as a well-known justice of the Supreme Court said some years ago. We didn't form a Supreme Court, and we don't appoint justices to be social drivers. We hire them, hopefully, that they will simply read the black letter law of our Constitution, because that's what rules us right now is a piece of paper.
I agree. I agree with you now, but when you then say some people have unpopular speech, let's ban it. That is what exactly the industry did with this ag-gag law. And it's related. I've already written back in March of 2017 on another law, Mike. And that law says that I'm a neighbor to one of these large confined animal feeding operations. I am now limited in my ability to sue those guys because the Iowa legislature took the part of that right away from me. Now, how about that? Is that something that the judges did? It isn't. It is what the legislature did, acting on the behalf of the industry.
Oh, without a doubt. Terry Branstad was all about big pork. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
I mean, he was Mr. Pork. he was the best friend that Iowa beef ever had, or Iowa beef backers ever had. But I certainly didn't agree with Governor Branstad. It's odd that we have this trade deadlock with China, and Governor Branstad is now ambassador of China. We haven't heard one thing from him.
No kidding. Yeah, and Prestige is probably pretty nervous about opening a new plant.
Well, they just invested $350 million.
Yeah, right, I know that.
And I suppose they'd like to turn on that money here pretty soon. But with this trade chaos, I'm just about had it with all the drama, I have to tell you. But anyway, I have very mixed feelings about the ag-gag rule. I'm uncomfortable, certainly, that a big business could pressure our legislature on this issue. I understand that some of the animal rights people are annoying.
And, well, good. I mean, but that doesn't mean you should take their rights of speech away.
No, it doesn't. The speech is not what they do. They do activism. And,
but I mean, it all fits under the first. People like the Second Amendment who listen to you. I certainly say it's an all right amendment, but so is the First. Damn it! And how can people just say the First Amendment really? It doesn't matter when it interferes with some industry that we think is important to the state. That you can't do. And that is what judges, the judicial system, protects us from. And it's not just the Iowa ag-gag law. Ours was the first, Mike. We were number one. But then it was followed by others. And those similar laws in Idaho and Utah also were turned down. I think this is pretty obviously a violation of the First Amendment. And that's what happened. And that's what was reported in the papers this morning. You no longer have that. That's just not a fair law. It's gone.
Well, I may have to be. First of all, I really like the hesitancy in your voice when you started talking about liking the Second Amendment more or less. you were very unconvincing. You were very unconvincing. But I may have to be with you on this one. And I do find Again, there's a huge cultural disconnect between and I've kind of made it one of my missions here at the radio station to point out that we are getting more and more distant from farm work. Well, I remember one of my first memories was my grandfather, who was a big man. He went out and he shot a hog right in the head, and then showed me how to butcher it. I was just a little kid. I was about 5 years old, and I thought that was wow. So the point being is there's a lot of kids now my age who are 70 who remember those days, and we are kind of inured to the idea of slaughtering animals. We see it as part of the cycle of life almost. We want to have sows give birth to pigs so they can be grown, so they can be slaughtered for food.
Right. And I have no objection to that. I'm, when I became the chairman of the Agriculture Committee in the Iowa House of Representatives, the rumor went out that I was a vegetarian and shouldn't have that job.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Farm Bureau, I'm sure. But anyway, the point is, yes, of course I do. I prefer my hogs to be raised by Lois Pavelka, who lives 4 miles from me, because she does all the kind of stuff that you'd expect some latte drinking, professor to do, farrowing in the field, making sure that the growth is all in barns or hoop houses that have a lot of straw in them, none of these slats. I pay a lot more money for that, but I do eat pork and enjoy it. And boy, it is a very different taste too, by the way. So whether it's my, whatever reason I'm doing that, I'm doing it. And the thing is, you're setting up a straw man, Mike, by saying all these San Francisco people are the ones that are going to determine how we slaughter hogs. No, you got to do it in a way that is reasonable, and that's all people are asking for. It's also, the other thing is, we always hear about, confinements are just fine. They're not a problem to anybody, and it's all these doctors from the Mayo Clinic moving into Iowa and then don't like the smell of hogs. That's not it. It is these large confined animal feeding operations, not the largest ones, because you can still produce around 1,200 hogs, have 1,200 hogs, and move in really close to somebody who's been there for 100 years. Those are the people who are bringing suit, and those are the people that when they bring suit in the state of North Carolina are getting millions of dollars because it's such an outrage.
As of now, that doesn't happen in Iowa. I did want to talk about, you mentioned in an email that you wanted to talk about the situation with Smithfield in North Carolina. Is this the situation you're referring to, or?
Yeah, it is. There have been 4 court cases now. The first 3 had very big settlements. The first one, 10 plaintiffs. They were living close to Smithfield, which is, by the way, owned by the Chinese. If you didn't make that point, I want to make that point.
Okay.
And they found that these people had at least $75,000 in the reduction in their enjoyment and the value of their homes. And then they gave each of them $5 million on top of that. That was a $50 million settlement. That wasn't the smallest. There was yet a bigger one later on. When juries are given this and show how people in the industry seem to want to be able to do whatever they want, no matter what the neighbors say, and you go to a jury trial, you find very large settlements. In fact, you find one in Iowa several years ago, too, Bloss versus Iowa Select. $32 million in punitive damages were laid on by that jury. Now, it was settled, so we have no idea what it was settled for, but that's what the jury said.
So I'm unaware right now of since the state and the DNR has control of where hog confinements can be. I don't know if a suit can be filed in Iowa, if a confinement.
It can be under nuisance. back when they passed the 1995 first CAFO law, which took the county, you're right, the counties have very little to say. They took the counties out of the process, only the DNR. And the DNR has to follow these really silly rules under the master matrix. The legislature at that time tried to take away your possibility to sue somebody, but that was declared unconstitutional in Gaki in 2002 or 2004. I can't remember which Gaki was, one of those years. No, I mean, you can't just run roughshod over the Constitution. And that's what the industry really, with this ag law and with the law in 2017 that limits your right under nuisance. They tried to take it away nearly completely in 1995. That was unconstitutional. So they tried again in 2017. We'll see if that one gets by what you called activist judges, and I call judges protecting the Constitution.
Actually, I don't call them activists. I call them imperial lords and ladies. You talked about the Bloss versus Iowa Select that struck a nerve with me. So I looked it up. Yeah, that was right over here in Sac County. That was Doug and Karen
Bloss.
Bloss.
The jury probably wasn't people from Des Moines or Chicago.
No, it was probably from Sac County. Yeah. Probably from Sac County. I don't know. I don't know where the jury was, but this was in 1997. Hugh Espy, of course.
It'd be hard to make the math work in
Hugh
your
Espy
soybean
was,
fields.
of course, acting
with
like
the Liberty Link
Iowa
system
Select
with Liberty
was doomed, but obviously they weren't. That was right in our area. I forgot about that.
Yeah. But we'll give it. But the point is that the legislature seems to do whatever the industry wants to do, and oftentimes when you give it to the people in the sense that you talked about, people say these things go too far. The industry is not that important. I'm not going to have my rights taken away.
Well, of course, you and I have talked about this many times before. If we're talking Prestige Farms and some of these other places, that's going to be employment for a lot of people. It's going to be something that a lot of people feel about very personally, because a lot of people are looking to Prestige Farms and places like that as an opportunity to get on their feet financially. There's a lot of things going on here. It's not just not a few dummy workers in a hog confinement or a packing plant somewhere. They're abusing animals, and that happens. There's plenty of video out there showing it happens. And those guys not only should be fired, they should have charges brought against them for animal abuse. I'm not in favor.
Yeah,
of
no, and we agree on that. And wait, but let's not finish up with me saying I want to get rid of the animal industry in Iowa. I want it to be changed so it can be a good neighbor, and that you can do. And I have lots of examples of how it can be done.
Well, okay, we don't have time for it today, but I'm you're on record here. You and I aren't just talking on the phone. We're on a radio station. You just confessed to liking pork.
I did. And lamb as well, as cute as they are.
Are your friends down at the Are your friends now down at the People's Republic of Johnson County? Are they going to hear this from you or?
Yeah, well, they might, but I would probably admit it to them as well.
You would admit it to them as well. Well, okay. So getting back to the Smithfield thing, just before we leave. They must have obviously every state has its own laws, and they should. But I'm surprised a big ag state like North Carolina, let's not forget they were the #1 tobacco producing state in the country for a while. This is a state that had Jesse Helms as a U.S. Senator for many, many years. I mean, this is not a liberal, flaky state. This is
exactly right.
And they seem to be changing out there. I know that the rural people of North Carolina, and I lived in North Carolina a couple of years, they do feel as close to the land as any farmer here in Iowa. There's a sense of history in North Carolina. It was one of the original colonies, and they're very proud. They're very proud of their history and heritage, and they're very close. If you build a confinement in eastern North Carolina, that gets real tricky because there's a lot of waterways that lead directly out to the ocean. And it's a different place. And I like North Carolina, but they also have a real investment in agriculture out there. So I'd be interested in following that story as it continues.
And the story, a good place for people to follow that is an Iowa State University website. It's a Center for Ag Law and Taxation.
Now this
Center
is
for
Iowa
Ag
State
Law and Taxation, and they reported on how big these. They say nearly $500 million. The jury said that these plaintiffs should get.
Now this is Iowa State University. Did you say?
It is, yes. Iowa State University Center for Ag Law and Taxation.
All right, good enough. David Osterberg has been our guest. Always a pleasure, David. Thank you for being on.
Pleasure today. I hope to talk to you again.
Oh, you will. Have no fear. Thank you, David. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. You are listening to KVFD in Fort Dodge, Iowa. Randy Feenstra coming up.
An RSVP from the president's former attorney, Elisa Brady, Fox News. Michael Cohen just announcing he's accepting an invitation from a House committee to testify publicly before he heads to prison.
Certainly, it will be fascinating to hear Cohen's side of the story and also some of the backstory Republicans will push him on as to how he reached a point where he pled guilty to lying to Congress about a deal that never went through in Moscow.
Fox's Catherine Herridge in Washington. Cohen admitted that talks on that business deal lasted longer than he initially said after he had already pleaded guilty to hush money payments to women. He's now due on Capitol Hill next month, though the committee chair also says they want to clear it first with the special counsel in the Russia probe. This, as President Trump continues a trip to the southern border, trying to build support for more border wall.
I think we're winning the battle in a very big way.
Also insisting he never said Mexico would write a check, though he did once write a memo that he would demand a one-time payment from Mexico.
He said they're going to pay for the wall. And if Congress approves this incredible trade bill that we made with Mexico and Canada, by the way, but with Mexico in this case, they're paying for the wall many, many times over.
It's day 20 of the partial government shutdown.
Quite frankly, when the president talks about this being a national security issue, no, it really isn't. It's about a policy that is discriminatory as to where people are coming into this country.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says the president should end the shutdown while the border debate continues. She won't say what her next move would be if the president follows through on a threat to declare a national emergency, but that would likely prompt legal challenges. 5 in a row on Wall Street and a late rally today. The Dow finishing up about 120.
I hope to talk to you again.
Oh, you will.
This
Have
is
no
Fox
fear.
News.
Thank you, David.
This is Carl on his motorcycle.
Let's ride till we run out of gas.
And this is Carl off his motorcycle.
Balsa wood is very different than teak. People confuse the two.
On his motorcycle.
Hey, check out that view!
Off his motorcycle.
Let's do puzzles in the break room.
On.
Look at all that open road!
Off.
Look how long my fingernails are getting.
You're better on your bike. Progressive helps keep you on it. Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Some job boards make you sort through tons of the wrong resumes, which makes finding a great candidate like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. That's not smart. The smart way? ZipRecruiter. They actively find and invite qualified candidates to apply. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack. ZipRecruiter. The smartest way to hire.
Try ZipRecruiter now for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
State-level politician wants to send taxpayer dollars to help pay for a border wall.
A state senator in Montana is proposing the state give $8 million to help build President Trump's border wall, even though this past year Montana had been dealing with a deficit. Senator Scott Sales says he calculated Montana's share for the wall by dividing the state's GDP by the national GDP, then multiplying that by how much the president's asking for, $5.7 billion. A state senator in South Dakota introduced a bill that says the state should urge Congress to fund wall construction and ensure federal immigration laws are enforced, but the South Dakota bill doesn't offer any wall funding.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. An unusual social media post from a now ex-congressman in Texas gets mixed reactions.
Former Texas Senate candidate Beto O'Rourke Instagrams his visit to the dentist to talk about the U.S.-Mexico border.
So I'm here at the dentist, and we're going to continue our series
on the people of the border.
He introduces his dental hygienist, Diana, seen pulling tools from his mouth. Diana says she was born in El Paso after her mother immigrated from Mexico, calling the region near the border a beautiful community. Critics calling the stunt gross, way too close up, one nicknaming it the Mueller investigation. The clip, one of several in an attempt to counter President Trump's characterizations of life at the border. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
Recapping Wall Street, a strong finish after a day of fluctuation. Retail stocks taking a hit from disappointing holiday sales reports. Macy's shares down over 17%. But stocks turned higher later in the day as there was more reassurance from the Fed chief about having patience on the pace of further interest rate hikes. And again, at the close, the Dow up 122 points, back to 24K. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. One is dead after a crash on Highway 169 near the Fort Dodge Country Club that began with a pursuit early this morning. The crash occurred between 2nd Avenue South and Highway 7. This all started at 3:30 a.m. when a victim reported that he was robbed at gunpoint by a male in the 1600 block of East University in Des Moines, and the suspect stole the vehicle. The vehicle was located by Story County Police at 4:30 a.m. and a high-speed pursuit began that made its way through Story, Hamilton, and Webster counties. The vehicle crashed when it went into a median and the driver was ejected and killed. The identity of the man has not been released. An investigation is underway into what's being called a suspicious death in northern Iowa. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
Authorities were called to the home at Rockwell just after 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, where a deceased male was found on arrival. Authorities said the death was not caused by blunt force trauma or foul play, but is being considered suspicious. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation has been called in to assist in the investigation, and an autopsy is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Rockwell.
2 Webster City men are in custody after being accused of burglarizing a home in Auburn, Iowa in December. 28-year-old Brett C. Nessa and 25-year-old Eric G. Dunn are charged with ongoing criminal conduct, a Class B felony, and 2 counts of third-degree burglary, a Class D felony. The burglary incident allegedly occurred on December 10th when the 2 men allegedly broke into the home and stole a plethora of items, including jewelry. Nessa was arrested on December 22nd and is being held on a $50,000 cash bond in the Sac City Jail, and Dunn is being held at the Wright County Jail. A fire occurred late last night at the Josephson Manufacturing Company at 216 Central Avenue in Fort Dodge. The incident happened at around 11 p.m. when a fire started inside a paint booth in the building. No one was injured in the fire, and the incident is under further investigation. A Western Iowa woman was sentenced to 2 years in prison for sexually abusing a ward of the state. Radio Iowa's Ryan Matheny reports.
According to court records, 24-year-old Hannah Dickerson of Neola pleaded guilty to attempted sexual abuse of a protected person and was sentenced Tuesday. Last January, Dickerson was arrested for first-degree sexual assault after a 17-year-old male alleged he and Dickerson had sex multiple times. The male was living at Child Saving Institute in Omaha, where Dickerson was employed. Dickerson's job at the institute was to supervise minors who were wards of the state, sometimes overnight. I'm Ryan Matheny reporting.
The Iowa Appeals Court has overturned the second murder conviction of a man who spent more than 10 years in prison. Juries have twice found Kenneth Hurd guilty of murder for fatally shooting 26-year-old Joshua Hutchinson in December 2007. The Des Moines Register reports that the court ruled Wednesday that Hurd's constitutional right to compel witnesses to testify was violated. The appellate court says the trial court failed to determine the extent and validity of one witness's assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege against incriminating himself. The witness testified for the prosecution at Hurd's first trial, but asserted his Fifth Amendment right at the time of his deposition before the second trial. Hurd has accused that witness of fatally shooting Hutchinson. Hurd's first-degree murder conviction in the case was overturned after he claimed his lawyers were ineffective. It's unclear whether prosecutors will seek a third trial. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Lots of sunshine this afternoon with the daytime highs approaching 31. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. 21 tonight, partly cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow, 36. Chance for snow Saturday with highs in the low 30s. Cloudy Sunday. A dusting of snow tomorrow night. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 32.
The General Store is giving you the VIP treatment. Come in today and pick up the General Store VIP punch card. For every transaction of $10 on regularly priced merchandise you make, you'll get 1 punch on your card. When you have 5 punches, they'll give you $10 off your next regularly priced purchase. Don't wait. The special VIP treatment is for a limited time only. Remember, everything at the General Store is always tax-free, and all proceeds go toward helping people in our community. Get the VIP treatment today at the General Store, 12 North 25th, Fort Dodge. Fort Dodge location only.
Now at Menards, save big money in your next project with 11% off everything. Save on automotive care products from Menards. Keep your windshield clean with Splash Ultimate Windshield Washer Fluid. It's effective down to negative 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Pick up a gallon today for only $175 after sale price and 11% off. Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Good through January 12th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
What does building a better bank look like? It starts with building Capital One cafes, warm, inviting places that feel nothing like a typical bank, where you can open an account with no fees or minimums in 5 minutes. And you'll always find people ready to help you, not sell you. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. What's in your wallet?
For consumers only. Offered by Capital One N.A. member FDIC. Cafes available in select locations. Copyright 2018 Capital One.
Hey guys, Ken here from the hit podcast Today's Growth. Who would win a 3-mile bicycle race, an 11-year-old girl or last year's winner of the Tour de France? It all depends on the bicycle. It depends on their vehicle. Both on a 10-speed and the pro racer is going to win every time. But put the racer on a tricycle and the 11-year-old wins every time. You see, it's not the driver, it's the vehicle. When it comes to generating revenue, it's exactly the same. If you have a job or a small business, you are riding a tricycle. You can only go so fast. If you need to make up lost ground, it's not going to happen on a tricycle. No matter how fast you pedal, it's simply not going to win the race. Why do many people with no schooling and no advanced degree often become very wealthy? Simple. They choose to only ride 10 speeds. When it comes to helping people create their next revenue model, both Forbes and Inc. recommend Income Store as a can't miss when it comes to putting people on a 10-speed. Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that doesn't solely depend on you? If so, you need to check out IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
You don't have bad luck. The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
Okay, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. You can certainly join the program anytime by calling 515-955-1400. You can see as well as hear what happens in the studio by going to YouTube. Just go to youtube.com, and then typing in 1400 KVFD. That's 1400 KVFD. We're expecting a call from State Senator Randy Feenstra of Hull, Iowa. He is a representative from, from Hull, of course. I just said that, from Northwest Iowa. He is he's an instructor in the business department at Dordt College. Now, as most of you know, I think, we have the greatest athlete who ever attended Dordt College living here in Fort Dodge. I believe there's a monument to the greatest athlete who ever played at Dordt College on the Dordt College grounds. There is a statue of a fine-looking young man, basketball in one hand as he goes up for the layup, Bud Light in the other. And this greatest athlete ever, of course, is Marlo Brandehorst. So I just wanted to let everyone know that once again and remind everyone of that once again, that Randy Feenstra, State Senator Randy Feenstra, is, he's supposed to be calling like now, but he's not calling as of yet, but we'll continue. Randy Feenstra, by the way, is a graduate of Western Christian High School. He received a bachelor's degree from Dordt College and a Master of Public Administration from Iowa State University. I've met Randy a couple of times. I've talked with him on air a couple of times, and he's a great guy, really, and he's a real ball of fire. Let me tell you something. For those of you who are anticipating that Randy Feenstra may beat Steve King and that he'll be some sort of liberal, I can absolutely assure you of one thing. Randy Feenstra is not a liberal. He's very much a numbers guy, and he will be a conservative voice in the U.S. Congress if he, in fact, can beat Steve King. I'm a little surprised that Randy announced so soon after the election. We just had the election in November. King won by the smallest margin he ever did against perhaps the worst opponent he ever had, J.D. Schulten. What was the guy's reason for running? Hi there. I used to be a baseball player, but I bombed out. And King only beat him by like 11,000 votes. So anyway, those of you who subscribe to the Fort Dodge Messenger woke up to this headline this morning. It says, Feenstra comes out swinging at King. Republican state senator challenges the 9-term lawmaker. Now, Randy came out really harsh and was talking about, well, we don't really have representation in Iowa's congressional fourth because nobody takes Steve King seriously, on and on and on. King, of course, is not the type to lay around and listen to that. In a statement his son Jeff King put out, it says today's announcement by Feenstra is the third attempt by the establishment in as many primary cycles to take the 4th district out of the hands of grassroots Republicans. Further, it's an obvious attempt to undermine an effective and leading congressional ally of the president, who Trump frequently refers to as the world's most conservative human being. I have never heard that before, that Steve King is the world's most conservative human being. But I think I would join President Trump in saying that Steve King is the most conservative human being that I ever met. And he has represented the 4th Congressional District, again, for 9 terms. Long, long time. But I want to tell you something. If anybody can beat Steve King in the Congressional 4th, first of all, you can run Democrats at Steve King from now until the end of time. And a Democrat will not beat Steve King in the 4th District. If somebody's going to beat Steve King in the 4th District, it's going to be somebody like Randy Feenstra. And I wish he'd call. I've texted him a couple of times now. We talked this morning, and he assured me that he was going to call here today. But I haven't heard from him as of yet. But again, a Democrat will not beat a Democrat will not beat Steve King in the Congressional 4th. It's just not going to happen. So if anybody does beat him, it'll be somebody like Feenstra. Rick, oh gosh, I forgot Rick's name already. Rick, he made a run at King. He's a Sioux City Republican, and he actually was here in town not long ago. I think his brother or something is developing some property over here. Oh, come on, Rick, what? Somebody help me out here. But he didn't really have a chance, as far as I was concerned, to beat Steve King. Jeff King, of course, talks about this is an establishment attempt. And if Randy ever calls, Bertram, thank you, Rick Bertram. Mike Sexton, Representative Sexton, is listening, and I appreciate it for keeping me straight here. If Randy would call, I would ask him if he were recruited, but I'm pretty much sure that he was recruited by Republicans in Polk County. I mean, Kim Reynolds had Steve King as her co-chair for her campaign, but she expressed some disappointment in Congressman King after some revelations of the last year. And she's put out a statement, of course, saying that Congressman King needs to make a decision if he wants to be a congressman from the 4th District of Iowa or if he's going to do something else. And of course, other Republicans around the state and in the country have been very critical of Congressman King. I personally like Steve King. He's a very personable man. I agree with a lot of his ideas. I did express some frustration myself with Congressman King after the election. I wish that he would attend more to business of the Congressional 4th. I don't think he needs to be involved in mayor's races in Toronto, Canada. I don't think he needs to be visiting conservative people or even far-right people in Europe. We need Congressman King and his considerable talents here in Iowa working for the betterment and the benefit of the congressional 4th district. Well, it's 19 minutes after 3 o'clock, and again, I can just tell you, and I know I mentioned this a couple of times earlier, that Senator Feenstra would be on the air with us, but and he was supposed to call right at 3:10, and obviously he has not. So I'm very, very disappointed. Hopefully, we'll have him on at a later date. But I can tell you that on the 23rd, on Wednesday the 23rd, I'm going to have the Congressman Steve King, on the program for an hour. That's the same day I'll be down at the Pork Congress in Des Moines. I'll be talking with some people at the Pork Congress in the morning, and then I'll be back here to host Congressman King from 3:30 to 4:30 on the 23rd of January, and I'm looking forward to that, of course. So, I was hoping that we would have another Dordt College graduate on the air with us today. We've had Marlo on the air with us a few times. Randy Feenstra, of course, is a graduate of Dordt College, but he's standing me up, I guess. And that's just the name of that tune. So Representative Mike Sexton will be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Look forward to talking with Representative Sexton about this very issue. I believe Randy Feenstra is a assistant majority leader as well. And here's another reminder. Congressman King has committed, and I think this is probably wise on Congressman King's part. He has committed to town hall meetings in every county in the district. I think he accurately, I think it's accurate for him to feel that perhaps he's lost some support in the congressional 4th. And that's unfortunate. I hope Congressman King sees the way. He's been a very popular congressman in Iowa's 4th district for many years. But again, and I say this as someone who has been almost an ardent supporter of Congressman King, he needs to represent the 4th. Come home, Congressman, and represent the 4th district, please. Do that for us if you would. Again, we don't need you out in Toronto or overseas dabbling in right-wing politics overseas. I'm pretty right-wing myself, but I'll keep it here in this country. Thank you very much. I have mentioned several times that Randy Feenstra was supposed to be here today by phone. He has not called. I'm very disappointed, and I guess that's all I can tell you is that I'm disappointed that he's not here. He's just not here. So there we go. You heard David Osterberg in the last hour talking about the ag-gag rule being overturned in Iowa. Despite the best effort of the legislator, a court has ruled that the ag-gag rule that we had is unconstitutional on free speech grounds. I rarely agree with any justices overturning the popular will. In fact, practically never. But I was a little concerned as well about the ag-gag rule. I don't care for a company or a business telling us that we can't say something or do something about a cause that some care about. I have nothing in common with Iowa CCI. I'm not one of those people who thinks that pork production in Iowa is a bad thing. Exactly the opposite. I think pork production is a wonderful thing in Iowa. I think we should welcome Prestige Farms with open arms, and we should be very, very excited about the economic possibilities and the changes that are coming to our entire area as a result of Prestige Farms making the decision to be here. A huge commitment on the part of the Prestige family, $350 million at least, and probably more as far as the investment they've made out there. There will be 65 trucks carrying approximately 170 pigs per day going to Prestige Farms, and that's just for starters. Now, every day, that'll be 38 trucks of processed pork leaving Prestige Farms every single day. This is from, I believe it's a 7-day-a-week operation. I don't know if this is 7 days a week or Monday through Friday, but I do know 65 trucks with 170 pigs on board will be pulling up there during the course of a normal workday. And again, 38 trucks carrying about 40,000 pounds of processed pork will leave every day. That's every single day. That's a lot of pigs. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of employment for our area. Well, again, I apologize. Randy Feenstra did not call, so he doesn't want to talk to me. I guess I don't want to talk to him either. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Seed selection under the microscope. Hello, everyone. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield. Low commodity prices continue to squeeze the bottom line of many corn and soybean farmers. With the 2019 growing season just months away, an extension crop specialist is recommending scrutinizing every cost associated with producing a crop. Liz Stahl with the University of Minnesota says one of the biggies is the cost of seed. More after this.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Adopt U.S. Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Hundo P. Hundo P. Adjective. Short for being 100% sure or certain. As in, if we get a puppy, I'll Hundo P always walk it.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
University of Minnesota Extension crop specialist Liz Stahl says the combination of low crop prices and disappointing yields has many farmers dissecting every aspect of the operation.
So it's really making people really sharpen that pencil to see, justifying, each different expense, where do we get the most payoff from different decisions, so again, it just really makes it even more important to just evaluate all those different inputs that we're doing, management strategies, where do we get the biggest bang for our buck, again, just trying to help that bottom line as much as possible.
She tells Brownfield one of the first areas to look at is seed.
People have been buying a lot of times complete packages with the BT traits, for corn rootworm and of course corn borer, and then the different herbicides and so forth too. And again, I just think it's good to step back and take a look. It's like, okay, do I need this newest thing here, or what should I really, how do I need to prioritize my decision making? Of course, yield potential, that's the number one thing. That's the genetic base, regardless of what traits are in there. That needs to be the number one priority when we look at our hybrid and variety decisions. How many different sites should we be looking at too of data? Is it good just to look at what we did in our backyard, or for example, but those are just some of the things to be looking at too. And if we do look at, say, for example, reducing investment into some of these different traits, well, what are the trade-offs for doing that? Do we need to do more scouting, pay more attention to different things? Where is there more risk if we do make some of those trade-offs? So again, just looking at that whole management scheme, you don't want to just change one thing and not worry about anything else, because usually it does impact something else too. There's trade-offs. So that's something that we really want to highlight.
Stahl says recent results can be helpful.
Whenever you can get multiple years of performance on a hybrid or a variety, that just increases the odds again that if it does well under a different range of environments, hopefully that's going to perform well for us in the future too. So that's the thing, just having that variety tested or that hybrid tested in a number of different environments. If it does well over a wide range, odds are that's going to perform well for us in the future.
That's University of Minnesota Extension crops educator Liz Stahl. I'm Mark Dorenkamp with Managing for Profit on Brownfield.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello. Oh, you're not on the air. Must be Randy Feenstra. Called but didn't want to be on the air. No, I was going to have Senator Randy Feenstra, the guy who was coming out swinging at Steve King, on the air, but we set up an appointment and he didn't keep it. So here's what you do within 48 hours of announcing that you're going to take on Steve King, an incumbent, this is what you do. You set an appointment with your local conservative talk radio host, one of your local conservative talk radio hosts, and you don't call and you don't cancel the appointment. See, that's a good thing to do, because I wouldn't, or you wouldn't really think that's a sign of character, would you? Because I would. I don't think that speaks well of anybody when they do something like that. I forgot doesn't work. You're running for Congress. If you say you're going to be on the air, be on the air. AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 307 South 12th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-3156 or online at www.loftusfilerseaversfuneralhome.com. Robert Sullivan has died. Bob Sullivan has died at the age of 91. There will be a funeral service for Bob Sullivan Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning at Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home, then at 10:30 at Corpus Christi Catholic Church. Mary Patricia Turner has died at the age of 58. There will be a celebration of the life of Mary Patricia Turner, and that'll happen at 1 o'clock in the afternoon at Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home. Obituaries this hour brought to us by Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 307 South 12th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Loftus Filer Seavers Funeral Home by calling 515-576-3156 or online at www.loftusfilerseaversfuneralhome.com. 331 at AM 1400 KVFD.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. One is dead after a crash on Highway 169 near the Fort Dodge Country Club that began with a pursuit early this morning. The crash occurred between 2nd Avenue South and Highway 7. This all started at 3:30 a.m. when a victim reported that he was robbed at gunpoint by a male in the 1600 block of East University in Des Moines, and the suspect stole the vehicle. The vehicle was located by Story County Police at 4:30 a.m. and a high-speed pursuit began that made its way through Story, Hamilton.
Yeah, Randy, is that you?
Yeah, it is. You bet. Thank you. Oh, my word. I've been trying. Thank you. Is this Mike?
Yeah, you're going to have to hang on for just a couple of minutes, Randy. I got the news on. I'm talking to you off air. All right.
Not a problem. We'll just call in 5 minutes, you think?
Yeah, call back in 5 minutes, please.
Okay. All right. Will do. I will do. Thank you.
Bye.
Suspicious. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation has been called in to assist in the investigation, and an autopsy is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Rockwell.
Two Webster City men are in custody after being accused of burglarizing a home in Auburn, Iowa in December. 28-year-old Brett C. Nessa and 25-year-old Eric G. Dunn are charged with ongoing criminal conduct, a Class B felony, and 2 counts of third-degree burglary, a Class D felony. The burglary incident allegedly occurred on December 10th when the 2 men allegedly broke into the home and stole a plethora of items, including jewelry. Nessa was arrested on December 22nd and is being held on a $50,000 cash bond in the Sac City Jail, and Dunn is being held at the Wright County Jail. A fire occurred late last night at the Josephson Manufacturing Company at 216 Central Avenue in Fort Dodge. The incident happened at around 11 p.m. when a fire started inside a paint booth in the building. No one was injured in the fire, and the incident is under further investigation. A Western Iowa woman was sentenced to 2 years in prison for sexually abusing a ward of the state. Radio Iowa's Ryan Matheny reports.
According to court records, 24-year-old Hannah Dickerson of Neola pleaded guilty to attempted sexual abuse of a protected person and was sentenced Tuesday. Last January, Dickerson was arrested for first-degree sexual assault after a 17-year-old male alleged he and Dickerson had sex multiple times. The male was living at Child Saving Institute in Omaha, where Dickerson was employed. Dickerson's job at the institute was to supervise minors who were wards of the state, sometimes overnight. I'm Ryan Matheny reporting.
The Iowa Appeals Court has overturned the second murder conviction of a man who spent more than 10 years in prison. Juries have twice found Kenneth Hurd guilty of murder for fatally shooting 26-year-old Joshua Hutchinson in December 2007. The Des Moines Register reports that the court ruled Wednesday that Hurd's constitutional right to compel witnesses to testify was violated. The appellate court says the trial court failed to determine the extent and validity of one witness's assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege against incriminating himself. The witness testified for the prosecution at Hurd's first trial, but asserted his Fifth Amendment right at the time of his deposition before the second trial. Hurd has accused that witness of fatally shooting Hutchinson. Hurd's first-degree murder conviction in the case was overturned after he claimed his lawyers were ineffective. It's unclear whether prosecutors will seek a third trial. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's a look at how the markets closed today. March corn down 5 3/4 at 376 1/4. May down 5 1/2 at 384 1/2. July down 5 1/4 at 392 1/4. September down a nickel at 395. January soybeans down 16 cents at 895 1/2. March down 17 1/4 at 906 3/4. May down 17 cents at 920 1/4. July beans down 16 3/4 at 932 1/4. March wheat closed down 6 1/4 at 513 3/4. Soybean meal down 6.40 a ton at 312.60. February live cattle up 7 cents at 124.87. April up 12 at 125.92. January feeder cattle down 7 cents at 146.75. March up 17 at 145.07. February lean hogs up 30 cents at 64.07. April up 30 at 67.85. I'm Dwayne Murley.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 1616 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 1616. Enjoy.
Take the worry out of winter with a winter weather advisor on KVFD, brought to you by Community Health Center Fort Dodge, offering dental, behavioral health, and general medical assistance for men, women, and children. They're committed to your well-being. Community Health Center. Get to know them. And Creative Cakes, making life sweet with espresso, lunch, gourmet cupcakes, and other sweet treats. Creative Cakes in the Crossroads Mall, Fort Dodge. They make life sweet. Listen for the winter weather advisor on the Voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's premier home purchase lender. We've created a new way to protect you from unpredictable interest rates. Our exclusive Rate Shield approval. First, we lock your interest rate for up to 90 days. Then, if rates go up, your rate stays locked. But if rates go down, your rate drops. Either way, you win. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Additional conditions or exclusions may apply.
Flu season is here. Have you had your shot? Make sure you and your family are protected from the flu by stopping into Daniel Pharmacy for your flu shot. The pharmacists at Daniel Pharmacy are ready to give you your shot today. While you're at Daniel's, they'll check your immunization record to see if you also need a pneumonia, shingles, or whooping cough vaccine. And if you've got a cold, let their helpful staff show you which over-the-counter cold medication works best. Daniel Pharmacy, caring for you and about you for over 50 years.
It's Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
All right, joining us now, State Senator Randy Feenstra. How are you, Randy?
Hey, Mike, great to be on with you today. It's wonderful. The sun is out. It's a beautiful January day in Iowa.
Well, it certainly is. I was telling the folks you're going to be on a little bit earlier, but it's better late than never, I guess. I'm going to read you the headlines of our local paper, the Fort Dodge Messenger. It says, Feenstra comes out swinging at King. Seems like that's what you did, Randy. You're ready to rock and roll here. You're going to go all the way here with this run for the congressional 4th District seat.
Yeah, I am really excited. I'm thrilled to be part of running against Congressman King and just creating a new face, creating a new effective conservative leader for the 4th District. I think it's been a time in coming. I think people that I've talked to are ready for a change.
Well, I've warned a few folks on the air today, if people think that they're getting a liberal to run against Steve King, they're wrong.
I am the complete opposite. Created a huge bill last year, cutting taxes. We did a lot with protecting life, defending the Second Amendment, creating jobs. We've done a tremendous amount of work in the Iowa Senate, and I want to take that type of work to Congress.
All right. Randy Feenstra is our guest. Are you the assistant majority leader for this area?
I am assistant majority leader. Yeah, I'm one of 5 assistant majority leaders in the Senate. That would be correct.
Yeah, in the Senate. That's right. Yeah, we have Representative Sexton, who will be here tomorrow, who, of course, is assistant majority leader in the House. But Congressman King's camp, through his son, Jeff King, has said of your candidacy, it's an obvious attempt to undermine an effective and leading congressional ally of the president's, who Trump frequently refers to as the world's most conservative human being. Jeff King further said that today's announcement by Feenstra is the third attempt by the establishment in as many primary cycles to take the 4th District out of the hands of grassroots Republicans. That's obviously not the way you see it.
No, I think we have to look at results. What have been the results? He's been there 16 years, and how effective has he been? I'm looking at it and saying, I want a seat at the table. I want to be there. I want to be there when we have a farm bill. I want to be part of that committee that decides what's in the farm bill. And that didn't happen this year with our current congressman. It's time that we do have a seat at the table and that we have effective leadership. And I am a true conservative. All you have to do is look at my voting record. It is conservative values and fiscal conservatism all the way through.
Well, I went on YouTube today and called up some of your floor appearances on YouTube. Yeah, do that, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you think Randy Feenstra is a liberal, go to his YouTube pages. He's not a liberal. He's not a liberal guy. Congressman King has been pretty strong on immigration and social issues. What is your position there?
Exactly. Hey, I absolutely believe that we got to secure the border. We got to build a fence. We got to balance the budget. And more importantly, I was the one with Senator Kreinbrink and others that stood firm and said, hey, we do got to defend life. We got to protect life. We got to protect our Second Amendment. And we stood strong last year. And I know he says that, hey, he was part of that. He was at the federal level when all this got passed. We did it at the state level. We made it happen.
All right. Randy Feenstra is our guest. Why did you decide to take this on? Were you recruited? Did the establishment, as Jeff King says, recruit you?
No, unless you call my wife the establishment. I'm pretty sure that's not the case. But, over Thanksgiving, we started looking, and we were really concerned about the numbers that came through after the general election. He only won the 4th District, with only several thousand votes. Just only 50% of the votes overall. And that really showed me that, hey, there's a real concern there. Then we went out, my family and I, and started talking to the agriculture community, the business community, and they just said, hey, it is time for a change. And that's where I stuck my flag in the ground and said, hey, we're gonna run. And I spent 2 hours with the congressman and told him late December that, hey, I'm going to run.
What was his reaction?
Yeah, I mean, he was very concerned. We had a very good conversation. I just want to throw that up front that me and him had a very positive talk back and forth. Obviously, we saw things differently, but I manned up. I wanted to man up and say, hey, I'm running.
All right. So this is kind of a sudden announcement. By sudden, I mean the election was only in November. Congressman King is going to be there for a couple of years. So you are the earliest candidate that I know of. Why did you announce so early?
Yeah, it is early. Exactly right. But here's the deal. The 4th District has 39 counties in it. So from Fort Dodge, Mason City, Sioux City, Cherokee, it's a massive district. And I know I've got to get to every community. I've got to be talking to people. I want them to know who Randy Feenstra is. And that's what I'm going to do for the next 14 months. I want them to know when they go to the ballot box that we have a conservative person that we can elect.
Oh, well, you're certainly welcome on the air here anytime, Randy.
Well, Mike, I love you. I love all that you do, and thanks for letting me be on your show.
All right, thank you. Senator Randy Feenstra has been our guest. Good luck, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge.
Hi, this is Stacy Weirda, broker owner of Neighborhood Realty. Are you thinking about selling your home but not sure who to list with? Well, I have an amazing team of agents with years of experience in 2 locations, all devoted to your real estate needs. Neighborhood Realty covers a vast market area, and that's not all. At Neighborhood Realty, we'll list it, we'll sell it, and you'll move on. Find our information online at neighborhood-realty.net and make sure to follow us on Facebook.
Prices are for base buildings only, do not include windows, doors, or accessories. Attention all business owners who rent or lease space, including storage space. Stop wasting your money paying someone else for your space. You can now save a ton of money and own your own building with the incredible sale prices from General Steel. Our 50-year structural warranty buildings are custom designed for your needs
I'm Michael
and
Devine.
save
You're
you a
listening
ton
to
of
AM
money. Call
1400
877-47-STEEL and get your options and pricing package. Call now, 877-47-STEEL. That's 877-477-8335. 877-47-STEEL.
I'm Michael Devine. You're listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice for Dodge. Thank you very much. Somebody's got to do it, and I'm glad you've decided to do that. I'm glad you're listening, and that means somebody other than my mom is listening. There's exciting news as we move through the month of January, relatively unmolested by winter. Winter like this kind of makes us think prematurely of spring in baseball. Of course, all of you know I'm a big baseball fan. I have been all my life, and there's exciting news for local baseball fans today, and that's going to be the topic of this segment of the program. I'd first like to introduce Donnie Roberts, who's head of the new Pioneer League. How are you, Mr. Roberts?
I'm fine, sir. Thanks for having us in town.
No, not a problem at all. Where are you from? What's your background?
I'm from northern Wisconsin, by between Hayward and Spooner, where I'm a farmer up there.
Okay.
Milk cows yet. Baseball enthusiast, I guess. Started the league here a couple years ago in Iowa, and hopefully taking it to Fort Dodge now is our next step.
Now, the name of the league is the Pioneer League.
Yeah, Pioneer Summer Collegiate Baseball League, made up of collegiate age baseball players.
Okay. Do they have to be college players?
Yes, they have to be college players and have to have a year of eligibility left in their playing career, for amateur statuses and to make sure that kids don't lose their eligibility that are in college.
Okay. So someone from the University of Iowa could actually play.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We've had University of Iowa players play.
Mm-hmm. University of Iowa baseball team actually has been pretty tough here these last few years. They've done a pretty good job. Let's move over now to Art Johnson. And Art is a longtime baseball fan as well. And Art has the distinction of taking care of Patterson Field. And Art and I were talking, and the rest of the guys in the room here, we were talking a little bit about Jerry Patterson and what a great baseball man he was, and left such a long-lasting impression on so many young people in Fort Dodge who are now in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and older because of his love of baseball. If you are too young to remember, Jerry Patterson started Patterson Field. He wanted a place for young people to be able to play ball. He bought the land himself, built the ballpark, and maintained it himself for many years. And now with Jerry gone, the task of, or the pleasure of taking care of Patterson Field is now on Art Johnson. So Art, welcome to the program, first of all.
Well, thank you for having me.
How did you, what's your background? How did you get involved with Patterson Field?
How did I get involved? Well, in the 1950s, I played for Jerry Patterson.
Did you really?
Yep. Played for the Fort Dodge Demons. We had a ballpark.
The Fort Dodge Demons, look out.
Out where Arby's is right now. There was a ballpark there, and played there. And when I retired, Jerry asked me to help him out the ballpark.
Okay. And you're retired from what kind of work?
I worked for UPS.
You did work for UPS?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you still have an old Fort Dodge Demons jersey? Because that would be something.
I got a couple of them out at the ballpark.
You know, we should get that design and have some T-shirts made of the old Fort Dodge Demons and use that. Really use it for a fundraiser for the ball team or the Pioneer League or whatever. It's just a thought, just a suggestion. But you have a couple of the old Demons jerseys out in the ballpark.
Mm-hmm. I've got some old. When Jerry had the Iowa team, I got some old bunch of jerseys from there that Joe Shanks played on. In fact, I give him, Joe, a jersey that he wore when he played for the Iowans. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's great. So how long did the Demons play? Do you remember? When did they stop playing?
I think he started about 1955 or 56, right in there. And I think they played into the beginning of the 60s.
Yeah. Let me guess, you were a second baseman.
Little bit, shortstop, outfield. I tried
wherever they put you, huh?
There you go.
Wherever they put you. Okay, let's go over to Connor now. Connor McLeod is there's another microphone right there, Connor. Right, you can grab that sucker too if you want. It doesn't make any difference. Right. You got one, we're good. So you're going to be the head coach of this new team in this league that is the Pioneer League. And I should ask any of you guys, how long has the Pioneer League been in existence? I mean, it hasn't been here in Fort Dodge. 2 years?
This will be the third year.
Third year.
Upcoming summer, this will be the third year of the league.
And this is an intercollegiate league. Am I saying that right?
Collegiate league, yeah.
Collegiate league. I'm sorry. I knew I didn't. Intercollegiate wasn't right.
Yep.
Collegiate league.
Collegiate league.
And you're going to be the head coach.
That's right.
What's your background?
I'm from Detroit Lakes, Minnesota. I went to school here at Iowa Central in 2011, 2012, played for Coach Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
And now I am in my second year as an assistant coach here back at Iowa Central.
Mm-hmm.
This past summer, I spent the summer in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I coached the Kalamazoo Growlers. I was the hitting coach.
Kalamazoo Growlers.
That's right. We were in the Northwoods League, which is another collegiate league.
Okay.
So, yep. I coached Legion baseball for many years, but in my second year here at Iowa Central.
We used to have, the great thing about minor league teams and even collegiate league teams is they had a lot of great names. I mean, there's the Cedar Rapids Colonels with a K, as in corn kernels. Yep. And there's the Clinton Corn Kings, which is very big in that part of the state.
Mm-hmm.
They love their corn kings down there.
That's right.
And those, the Iowa Cubs used to be the Des Moines Oak Leafs, and then they became the Iowa Oak Leafs.
Really?
I mean, we're going way back now, but those were great years for baseball. And it's not that better years aren't coming, because they probably are. So you have taken on this job as the head coach of a team that doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah, and that's kind of something that we've been up for discussion, and even like the Fort Dodge Demons. And I know Fort Dodge used to have a minor league team way back when, and it was the Fort Dodge Gypsum Eaters.
Yeah, I heard that.
Which has kind of been a name we've been talking about having for this summer. So it's kind of a process that I'm kind of looking forward to naming this team.
Yeah, the Flattery family.
That's right.
A lot of them. Dave especially thinks he knows how to play ball. Dave and Dan.
Dave is actually the assistant. He's the pitching coach here at Iowa Central, so I work with Dave every single day.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
No, Dave's a great guy and a great baseball guy.
Yep.
He and his family, I think 9 members of his family, just last summer played a team from Scotland.
This fall. That's actually kind of how we've gotten this idea of being the Gypsum Eaters. Tim Flattery does the Moonlight Graham show.
Moonlight Graham, yeah.
And he named his team, which was all 9 or all 13 Flatteries. They were the Gypsum Eaters, and Tim sells merchandise of the Gypsum Eaters through his podcast.
Does he really?
And created a logo. So that's kind of something we've been talking about. Hopefully bringing the Gypsum Eaters back to Fort Dodge this summer in this Pioneer League.
So Gypsum Eaters is a name under consideration.
Yes.
For this for the Fort Dodge team that will be in the Collegiate League.
Correct.
The Pioneer Collegiate League. Am I saying that right now?
You are
Pioneer
saying
Collegiate?
that correct.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. So I guess I'm way too old to play in this league.
We could find a role.
I'm probably too old to play in the retired guys league. Even. What's that? We need bad boys. Maybe I could do that. I'd bring my walker out and take care of the bats. Well, this is exciting news. Do we have a date for the first game? I mean, we don't have a name yet, but
we do.
Just give Connor. Just give Dave that microphone. You grab that one. Grab it by the arm up there, please. There you go. Now we're cooking with gas. There you go. Yeah, just there. Oh, now we're way out in front here. Now we're big time professional NBC radio guys. Yes, Dave. We have a
Donnie. I'm sorry, sir. Just
Donnie. Yeah. How did I forget that? There used to be a Donnie Roberts worked in this radio station for years. I beg your pardon, sir. Donnie.
Oh, not a problem at all. I've been mistaken for worse than that.
Yeah.
if Dave's the only worst thing I get called today, I'll be a good day for
Dave
me.
Flattery. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Anyway, go ahead, Don.
Well, the season always consists of playing June and July, and then the playoffs the first week of August. The first home game here in Fort Dodge will be June 1st. They'll start
June 1st.
Yeah, they'll start May 31st on the road, but well, maybe they don't, but either way. But their first home game is on June 1st, Saturday. Here.
June 1st, Saturday.
Yep.
Here, where's it at? Patterson Field?
Patterson Field. That's the uniqueness of it. We're going to be playing at Patterson Field, something that, is sort of a grassroots field, and sort of what we're trying to emulate in this league is the barnstorming of ages past of what Iowa was known for in their history of baseball. And we're trying to grasp onto that. We're in some of the towns that made baseball big in Iowa. Carroll, which is a very big baseball town. Bancroft, Iowa has a team in this league.
Those Bancroft kids used to think they could play ball.
Yeah, some of
Ellsbeckers, some of them
think they can yet, I guess. And we have a whole Ellsbecker cheering section.
Oh, do you really?
Yes, they have their own section, and they critique the team, and they're very good at it. And they're knowledgeable and good at critiquing, and they take care of the field. I can't say enough, and I'm sure it's going to happen in Fort Dodge here because it's happened at all of our towns. Carroll, Storm Lake, Iowa, Bancroft, Iowa. Iowa is passionate about baseball.
Yes, they are.
And once you get a team here, and how our biggest goal of this whole league is to become an asset to the community.
Of course.
That's why we have the gentlemen in this room that are part of the community to be part of this team. And I look forward to it will be no different in Fort Dodge, because I'm sure there'll be a critiquing group and people that will take very big pride in this being a successful endeavor here in town.
My God, critiquing is what being a baseball fan
Yes.
is all about.
Baseball.
You sit in the stands. Well, they should have done that, or they did that better, or I would have done this.
The uniqueness of coaching in Bancroft is the next day you have a coach's show, and it's as you walk the streets of Bancroft, you have to interview each person of what you did the night before.
Oh.
So that's very nice, though. The coaches know it ahead of time going there, and that's the uniqueness of a town of 700 people.
I still have cousins up in Bancroft, and when we were kids, in the the Bancroft St. John's kids, St. John's School is no longer there, but it was a big baseball school, and when they played on Saturday or Sunday afternoon, the town turned out. Boy, the whole area did. It was a big deal back in those days. We don't have the population we once did, and I like to think that baseball is still the most popular sport. Some surveys tell us different, but I still think baseball, and especially in the summer here, captures the imagination of all of us here.
I know each night in the towns we play in, we are still the biggest sport. I mean, Carroll has a enormous following for their team. Bancroft, multiple nights, they play 18 to 20 home games
What is the Bancroft team's name?
Bandits.
The Bancroft Bandits.
And they multiple times outdraw the population of the town.
Oh,
many nights they do. Storm Lake has a very loyal following of horn players. They have many horns in that.
Really? What
What
is the Storm Lake team's name?
The Whitecaps.
The Whitecaps.
Of the yesteryear. I guess they had a team that was called the
All right.
Whitecaps for many years.
Didn't know that.
They still play at the old Memorial Field down there, which I guess isn't quite as nice as it was at one time, but hopefully it's going to get there again, because they do back their team well there. And like I said, I'm very intrigued with the support we've had here in just a little bit of time and of being in Fort Dodge. And like I said, the Fort Dodge atmosphere at Patterson Park, I think will be something that'll be very unique to the league itself, because each town has their own uniqueness. And I think that'll be a very unique venue.
Great little ballpark.
Especially with the youth field right next door and the camaraderie of the kids interacting with, the college. I think this will be just another slot in our league of uniqueness, which, each town so far has the uniqueness, Storm Lake on the lake, Bancroft, the very small community that literally shuts down when the baseball game, and then Carroll that is baseball fanatics. So, I mean,
what is Carroll's name?
They're the Merchants of yesteryear too.
Merchants of yesteryear.
Yeah. They still are the old team of the old Iowa State League, Bancroft don't have their same name, but they were the Lions, I believe, when they were in the Mankey boys.
I don't know how you didn't get them to be called to the Bancroft Catholics, because that's a pretty Catholic town.
Oh, very Catholic. Yes, you find that out in a hurry when you go there. But yeah, I can't say enough of how forward I look to being in Fort Dodge. I visited Mr. Johnson last year at the field, and Mr. Myers. It's a great location for what we're trying to accomplish with our baseball in this league of the grassroots, bringing 25 collegiate players from across the country to a town and exposing them to the everyday life of small town, how the people come out and support them. I mean, in Carroll, they play in front of 1,000 people every night almost. And it's a unique atmosphere that you only get at a baseball game. I was a hockey player my whole life, better at hockey than I was at baseball, but baseball is still my passion, because there's nothing that can reincarnate what happens at a baseball field each time you have it. The uniqueness of Patterson Park sets a thing in my head too, because I have my own field in my backyard up in Spooner, Wisconsin too, that we play 100 baseball games a year on, youth baseball games. So I look forward to having a team in this league.
Well, I loved all sports, and I would have been really good, except I had a lack of talent. So
Yeah, that did me into it.
That was the problem.
But I don't have a talent, make up for enthusiasm.
There you go.
Which makes it very good as a bus driver and a fan.
Now we're talking. Yeah, absolutely.
So there's
a place for us all.
I'm the most enthusiastic bus driver on the league, and also the most enthusiastic guy at the concession stand.
Art Johnson has taken care of Patterson Field. Now your life's about to change there, Art. I suppose. What kind of games are played at Patterson Field now? We still got the little kids down there, or I haven't been down to Patterson Field, I guess, now in a few years.
We have a 5th and 6th grade league.
Great.
Through the Fort Dodge Rec. I started working with Ryan Mail down Fort Dodge Rec. And so we 5th and 6th, which we have 12 teams in them in the league. And they come from Manson, Southeast Valley, Southeast Sac. They come over and play. And then we still have the Teener League, but we don't have the interest in the Teener League that we used to. We used to have 8, 9 teams in the Teener League, and now we're lucky if we have maybe 3, 2,
I wonder
3,
why that
4.
is. Kids working in the summer.
I don't know. I think kids like their telephones, and
boy, that's a problem, isn't it? Don't get me started on that tech stuff. It's a valuable tool, that's for sure. But oh god.
But the 4th and 5th grade is these kids are really interested in, really have fun, and they draw tons of parents down the ballpark in the summertime.
Oh yeah. Let's go over here to the head coach now, Connor McLeod. How's your team shaping up? Can you tell us some of the people who are some of the young men who are on your
right
team?
Right now I have 5 guys that have committed to play for me this summer. 5 guys already. 4 of them who play for me here at Iowa Central. They're sophomores who they're good baseball players, and I'm looking forward to having them not only this spring but then again this summer. And then I have another second baseman outfielder from the University of Augustana who actually just committed to me the other day. We were talking earlier, asking how we get all these players from around the country, and we were saying that the baseball coaching circle is a very tight group, and so reaching out to these coaches and asking them if they have any players for me this summer, the coaches have been great to work with, and I'm sure I'll get more of the support as I start looking for the rest of our roster. So I'm really looking forward to working with not only these 5 but the rest of the roster. So
are there any kids from Fort Dodge or Webster County that you've got committed to play?
Not yet. I know the league rules. They will allow with a radius of 25 miles from Fort Dodge, they are allowed to be on the team without any roster violations. So I'm going to definitely take advantage of that. I know we have some Fort Dodge and area local kids on our team here at Iowa Central that I'm sure you'll see on our roster this summer.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be exciting.
Fort Dodge is we have been saying, Fort Dodge is a great baseball town, and I've been a part of it now for 4 years, and I know the talent here in Fort Dodge. I'm looking forward to having them.
You were a pitcher, weren't you?
I was not. I came in as an infielder, left as an outfielder. Went to a 4-year as an outfielder, and then left as an infielder.
I should have known.
Kind of do it all.
Infielders are built like you. Those pitchers are getting to be kind of tall and rangy anymore.
I'm not that.
No, you're not. No.
Shortstop.
You know. Yeah. Well, you can stand in front of the ball if it's hit the shorter third and take it in the chest if you have to. That's always fun.
I got to catch it.
Catching it is always the best way to go.
I
have found that helps.
Right.
Let's go back to Donnie Roberts. I guess I should have asked you this when we first got started. How did the Pioneer League get started anyway?
Well, like I said, I had a baseball field in my backyard, and I had a summer collegiate team.
In Wisconsin.
Yes, that was independent. I just recruit some kids in the summer. We'd barnstorm all over. We go to the Iowa or Missouri to the Mink League, play a couple Northwoods teams. At one time, I was part ownership of the Waterloo Bucks of the Northwoods League. Left that, started the field up there. At that time, the Northwoods teams didn't play that many games, so we could get a couple games with a few of them. But then they expanded their schedule so big. And as my trip down through playing in the Mink League, we played Clarinda all the time, which is in Iowa, right on the border. And I asked Ryan Eberly about the stadiums in Iowa. I said, I'm interested in maybe starting a league in here. And he told me a couple places, and it just blossomed from there to Carroll, to Bancroft. He gave me some of the hotter spots, and Fort Dodge was one of them. They've always been on our radar. And now the 3rd year here, we're ready to grow to another, and hopefully another team in another year. But, that's why I got brought about, my passion for just like being around baseball, and I like coaching that age kids. I don't coach no more. Like I said, I'm one of the bus drivers of the teams usually. So I still get to be around them and get to talk to the coaches, and I don't have the headache of having to coach every day, which isn't a headache when you're younger and want to do that. Now I've to the point.
Wait, you grew out of it? You got old?
I like to sit at the concession stand more often. I like to, I like to do a lot more of
Boy, you did get old.
Yeah. I like to do more of the fan stuff. I really enjoy the fan experience, and that's what we're trying to give here. I want the people at Fort Dodge, that's how we run this league. It's a developmental league for the baseball players, but for the fans, it's an entertainment league. We want them to come there, be entertained by not only the baseball, but we run them like a minor league baseball team. There'll be hopefully a great announcer they'll have. Hopefully they'll have skits between a couple innings, we run it as professional as we can, and still have a very enjoyable experience for the people that come out.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when you get to the age where you want to sit in the stands and watch the grandkids play ball, I think you've gotten to a few years on you anyway. Yeah. Anyway, Donnie Roberts has been here, Art Johnson, Connor McLeod, and we've been talking about some exciting news for Fort Dodge, the Pioneer League, a collegiate. Say it again for me, Connor.
Collegiate. Yep. You said it correct.
Collegiate Baseball League.
That's right.
The Pioneer Collegiate Baseball League.
Yep.
And how many other teams are in the league now that Fort Dodge will be looking at?
Yep.
4 of them?
5. There will be 5 total teams.
So we mentioned the Bancroft Bandits. We mentioned Carroll. We mentioned
Merchants,
Storm Lake.
White. Yep.
And there's another one then?
Albert Lee.
Okay.
Yep.
And does Albert Lee's team have a name yet?
Yeah, they're the Lakers.
yeah.
Yes, they were defending champs of the league. They won it last year.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep.
Well, I hope we can all stay in touch, and I hope I can have you on regularly as we move
Absolutely.
Through winter here. My birthday is in February, and I promise you February is not going to be like the weather we have today. Never is. So, but once we get past that February month, there's usually a thaw, and everybody starts thinking about baseball, and I certainly do, and I'm very excited about this news of the Pioneer Collegiate League coming to Fort Dodge. I want to thank you all for being here, and again, I look forward to having you on again in the future.
Thank you.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
It's everything digital on the Kim Komando Show every Saturday from 11 to 2 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. One is dead after a crash on Highway 169 near the Fort Dodge Country Club that began with a pursuit early this morning. The crash occurred between 2nd Avenue South and Highway 7. This all started at 3:30 a.m. when a victim reported that he was robbed at gunpoint by a male in the 1600 block of East University in Des Moines, and the suspect stole the vehicle. The vehicle was located by Story County Police at 4:30 a.m. and a high-speed pursuit began that made its way through Story, Hamilton, and Webster counties. The vehicle crashed when it went into a median and the driver was ejected and killed. The identity of the man has not been released. An investigation is underway into what's being called a suspicious death in northern Iowa. Radio Iowa's Bob Fisher reports.
Authorities were called to the home at Rockwell just after 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon, where a deceased male was found on arrival. Authorities said the death was not caused by blunt force trauma or foul play, but is being considered suspicious. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation has been called in to assist in the investigation, and an autopsy is scheduled to determine the exact cause of death. Bob Fisher, Radio Iowa, Rockwell.
2 Webster City men are in custody after being accused of burglarizing a home in Auburn, Iowa in December. 28-year-old Brett C. Nessa and 25-year-old Eric G. Dunn are charged with ongoing criminal conduct, a Class B felony, and 2 counts of third-degree burglary, a Class D felony. The burglary incident allegedly occurred on December 10th when the 2 men allegedly broke into the home and stole a plethora of items, including jewelry. Nessa was arrested on December 22nd and is being held on a $50,000 cash bond in the Sac City Jail, and Dunn is being held at the Wright County Jail. A fire occurred late last night at the Josephson Manufacturing Company at 216 Central Avenue in Fort Dodge. The incident happened at around 11 p.m. when a fire started inside a paint booth in the building. No one was injured in the fire, and the incident is under further investigation. A Western Iowa woman was sentenced to 2 years in prison for sexually abusing a ward of the state. Radio Iowa's Ryan Matheny reports.
According to court records, 24-year-old Hannah Dickerson of Neola pleaded guilty to attempted sexual abuse of a protected person and was sentenced Tuesday. Last January, Dickerson was arrested for first-degree sexual assault after a 17-year-old male alleged he and Dickerson had sex multiple times. The male was living at Child Saving Institute in Omaha, where Dickerson was employed. Dickerson's job at the institute was to supervise minors who were wards of the state, sometimes overnight. I'm Ryan Matheny reporting.
The Iowa Appeals Court has overturned the second murder conviction of a man who spent more than 10 years in prison. Juries have twice found Kenneth Hurd guilty of murder for fatally shooting 26-year-old Joshua Hutchinson in December 2007. The Des Moines Register reports that the court ruled Wednesday that Hurd's constitutional right to compel witnesses to testify was violated. The appellate court says the trial court failed to determine the extent and validity of one witness's assertion of his Fifth Amendment privilege against incriminating himself. The witness testified for the prosecution at Hurd's first trial, but asserted his Fifth Amendment right at the time of his deposition before the second trial. Hurd has accused that witness of fatally shooting Hutchinson. Hurd's first-degree murder conviction in the case was overturned after he claimed his lawyers were ineffective. It's unclear whether prosecutors will seek a third trial. This has been Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD Weatherology forecast. Lots of sunshine this afternoon with the daytime highs approaching 31. Winds out of the southeast 8 to 15 miles per hour. 21 tonight, partly cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow, 36. Chance for snow Saturday with highs in the low 30s. Cloudy Sunday. A dusting of snow tomorrow night. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 32.
Active Health Chiropractic, leading our community to health.
Discover true wellness at Active Health Chiropractic. Hi, I'm Dr. Zach Mason. When you choose Active Health Chiropractic, you choose healing without drugs, life with mobility, and improved health with chiropractic. You'll love our new state-of-the-art facility, and you'll be amazed at how much better you feel. Call our office today and ask about the gift of health. Don't wait. Active Health Chiropractic, Fort Dodge.
And feel better today.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter 1616 at checkout. That's harrys.com, code 1616. Enjoy.
Michael Devine at AM 1400.
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
With 60 rounds of freedom.
This week on the Iowa Watch Connection, what I would almost consider a crisis in the confidence that the public has in the news media. A free press is indispensable to democracy.
We have more tools at our disposal with websites and Twitter feeds and Facebook. I mean, we make use of those.
But challenges often appear. Journalism has to go back to the basics. We have to focus on fact-checking and focus on fairness. The state of journalism today, our topic this week.
The Iowa Watch Connection is presented by the Iowa Center for Public Affairs Journalism, online at iowawatch.org. Here is Jeff Stein.
On Thursday, September 27th, Iowa Watch and several partners sponsored the 6th annual Celebrating a Free Press and Open Government Banquet in Des Moines, an event designed to call attention to the important role of an independent news media in our country. The banquet followed the annual meeting of the Iowa Freedom of Information Council. Randy Evans is a retired Des Moines Register reporter who is now Iowa FOIC Executive Director. Steve Barry is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who recently retired as a journalism professor at the University of Iowa And while there, co-founded the Iowa Center for Public Affairs Journalism, Iowa Watch. He was back in the state as the speaker at the banquet. I caught up with both of them that afternoon. I'll begin with a fundamental question, and I'll ask you first, Steve. What is the greatest challenge to journalism in our country today?
Well, I think the greatest challenge today is that we are confronting what I would almost consider a crisis in the confidence that the public has in the news media. And in preparing for this talk that I'm going to be giving tonight, I've been looking at lots of polls. I've actually been talking to a lot of people since I've been in retirement, and they don't have any idea what journalists do, how they go about their job, how they do the reporting. And then on top of all of that, we have this all-out anti-press, organized, very well-funded campaign that's being carried out against the press. And it's carried out at the highest levels of government. And not only is it against the press abstractly and generally, but they're going after individual reporters by name and in the presence. And that's can have an effect. And it gets repeated over and over and over again. And as like propaganda, you repeat a lie enough and it becomes perceived reality.
Randy, do you agree that that is the greatest challenge? And if not, what might be?
Oh, I would agree with Steve on the broader challenge, but I think that on a more fundamental basis, I think the media in some respects is not helping its cause any, because at a time when there is this widespread skepticism about the believability of what people are reading or hearing, we have newspapers that have sort of walked away from editing and are leaving it up to reporters who are like Ringling Brothers jugglers, all that is being expected of them. And, if you don't spell somebody's name correctly, if you have the wrong street address, people suddenly don't believe anything that they're reading. And I think that journalism has to go back to the basics. We have to focus on, fact checking and double checking and triple checking. We have to focus on fairness. That's not going to solve the bigger problem, but it's not going to add more fuel to the fire.
It's interesting to me that you said that, because I have said for a while that people in the media are often their worst enemy and hand someone the club to hit them over the head with, such as making a small fact error that does not have a lot to do with the general thrust of a story, but it allows the subject of the story to then say, see, they are wrong.
There you go. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because the last thing journalists need to do is to give anybody an excuse to disbelieve what journalists are gathering up and presenting for people to digest.
Steve, we have had similar times in our history where those in power, be they in government or business or any other form of power, have taken after the media. What is different about this climate?
Well, you're right. To me, I think you're going back to the era of Richard Nixon, when he unleashed Spiro Agnew, with his beautiful alliterative creativity. I think we all can remember by heart the nattering nabobs of negativism. We've all got that. We can say it. But this is so different, because Nixon pretty much marinated his hatred privately. And he sat around and drew up an enemies list and wrote it down privately. And that didn't come out until some grand exposure. And Spiro Agnew wasn't on the scene that long. And this campaign against the press, it couldn't have been more than a year, if I remember right. And what's going on now is we have a president who has acknowledged in public, and this is on the record, he has acknowledged on public that my plan is to bash the press as hard as I can for the sole purpose of demeaning individual journalists, demeaning them and to question their credibility, so that nobody, whenever you write a negative story about me, nobody's going to believe you. This is an all-out campaign, and it's very concentrated, and he implements it himself personally every single day. He doesn't send surrogates out there to do it for him. He does it himself. And so that's what's different. That's what's different.
Agnew, of course, came to Des Moines as part of that whole thing. They come to the heartland and make the statement to the core of the country. And I find that interesting. But to your point about the president, when the president points out individual journalists by name at a news conference, sometimes they stand up for themselves, and then it's like Dan Rather versus Richard Nixon in 1974 kind of thing. Given how pervasive media is, and viral video, a phrase we didn't even have a few years ago, is the president actually getting a little assistance if they get sucked in or take the bait?
And then don't respond to it?
I think it's the manner of the response. But you think you're fine with one of these reporters giving as good as they get?
Yes. And I'm going to talk about that tonight. I'm going to propose something that I don't know that a lot of journalists would agree with me on this. And I didn't agree with myself just about a year ago, until about a year ago. But I've gotten to the point where this current administration has made the news media a story. It is, and it's a very, very important story. And through no fault of our own, we did not ask to become a part of the story, but he has made it. He's made it because, number one, it's an integral part of the White House policy. And number two, when you have the highest office in the land organized and challenging the constitutionally sanctioned entity that is sanctioned with protecting the public's, not our right, but the public's right to a free press, we are obligated, our ethics obligate us to stand up to that. And we have not been standing up to that.
Based upon what you heard from Steve, he obviously has a very clear idea of what he would do if he were in the White House press corps. Is that the way that this should be handled in your mind?
Well, I certainly understand the desire to sort of stick up for yourself. I think, though, that if you approach it from the standpoint of Joe Ordinary Iowan, who doesn't like necessarily what he's hearing coming out of the White House, but he also maybe thinks that the media is a little too over the top in how they're responding to the president. If you tune into cable news, unless you've got Hurricane Florence, it's almost 24/7 of what Trump is doing, and I think it is giving an inaccurate picture of what the media as a whole is doing, because you don't see the other stories being reported on CNN or MSNBC, and I think that is skewing public perception, that the public is concluding that the press, the media is out to get the president because all they can do is talk about the negatives about him. I think Washington journalists probably need to spend more time in East Overshoe, Iowa, talking to Joe Ordinary Iowans about what they're thinking and how they're reacting and how the president's statements and policies are playing. Because I think if the East Coast press would do that, I think they would understand why the public perception is the way it is.
More with Steve Berry and Randy Evans in a moment. But first, a conversation with Brian Cooper, the longtime executive editor of the Telegraph-Herald in Dubuque. After 30 years in that role, last year he became editorial page editor and special project consultant for the paper. I hate questions that start with, over the course of your career, ... But it does seem to me that during the time you have been a professional journalist, we